and actually now reflecting on it, it was some of the toughest, training as like in times I've had. And man, it reminds me of this time when we were running gassers, across the field, back and forth, because it's our conditioning test, and guys were just dropping out like flies, just dropping because it's just hot, like quitting. And I told to myself, no matter how slow I go, I won't quit.
Yep.
So and that's the thing about sometimes in bodybuilding, it's like no matter how hard the diet gets, no matter how much cardio you have to do, just don't stop moving. Like, don't stop. You know what I mean? Eat the meal, do the training, do the cardio. Because if you stop, like that's it. Like you dropped off. You're done.
Hey everybody, welcome to It's Just Bodybuilding. I'm your host, Big Ron Partlow. Of course, I got Dusty Hanshaw and the producer, Scott McNally. And today we're bringing you a guest. I know we said we're going to bring more guests. So we brought a huge guest, literally, Carlos Thomas Jr. How's it going, man?
Oh man, it's stellar. I'm having a great time, and I thank you guys for having me on. I just broke down how big of a fan I am of you guys and the program, and man, it's awesome, dude. So I really appreciate you guys having me on. So yeah, I'm excited. Let's do these questions, whatever questions you guys have for me. Let them fly.
I noticed your CTJ. I said CTJ on your Instagram. Yeah. You're trying to shorten it? Is there people get a mouthful of your name all the time?
Too many names, too many words.
It's so interesting. I just find it interesting that like obviously I don't have like no like nickname like the Butcher or the Mutant or anything like that. So when everybody speaks of me, they just say Carlos Thomas Jr. and anything they say is the full name.
One word.
And yeah, it is exactly. And
I'm guilty. I'm guilty of that too. I do it. So there's that.
So I was like, let me just shorten it up a little bit, see if it catches on a little bit. And
CDJ.
I was talking about how crazy you look and how much mass you put on, and I was saying Carlos Thomas, and everyone thought I was talking about your dad. They were like, "Your dad's walking around jacked."
Yeah, he's got huge
ripped legs. Yeah, you just really need to make that distinction. So
it's
important.
Yes.
It's good. And for those who don't know, you have would he be the most well-known dad in pro bodybuilding?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I laugh at this because Chris Aceto calls him King Richards, like the Serena Williams and Venus Williams' dad.
Right. Okay,
King Richards.
King Richards. Okay, yeah, that's hilarious.
Yeah,
okay. Remember to like, share, subscribe, comment, and
ring the bell.
See, Dusty thought I almost forgot. And of course, IamMutant.com. Go to IamMutant.com, get your IsoSurge, get your all in, and everyone should get on the gear. Code Dusty or Big Ron definitely helps out the show. They've been big sponsors for a while now, helping us out. And remember, Scott's Patreon, the Think Big Bodybuilding Patreon. Keep your producer homed.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, we are off. So, you didn't make it on stage at that last show. What show is that you had you were having issues and you just decided, let's just sit this out?
We were getting ready for the Arnold Brazil last year. I was in Brazil because my sponsors, Darkness and Integral Medical, are in Brazil. And I actually had a lot going on. So I had like my stomach issues, and then I lost my very, very, very close cousin at the same time. He passed away. It was just like all the signs just point to me going home, being with my family, obviously getting myself together, my health with that, and then just being with my grandmother because I'm our only grandson now, you know what I mean, and being with my aunt and uncle and family and taking care of business right there. So, but yeah, that was the last show that I was getting ready for. But now we're here and we're getting ready for the Arnold, Ohio.
Yeah, no, we're excited to have you because, it's always exciting when a lineup actually gets us excited. You know, like a lot of times the lineup's not that exciting. It's like, a lot of shows you see, there'll be two guys that could win. Yeah. And then there's like a bunch of guys that are pretty good. You know what I mean? Like that's how the lineup looks. And this show, I mean, what do you think when you look at this show? You've got 3 Mr. Olympias. Aren't there 3 Arnold Classic champions as well?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. There's, yeah. It's a stacked show. And It's crazy. So I see that, I get like the invite thing. I'm like, I made it, and I'm so happy. And then I looked at the rest of the people. I'm like, holy shit, this is a stacked lineup.
Hey, I think that's the way you want it, man. You look
Yeah,
fantastic, you know.
yeah.
And these pictures you're putting up, I know they're Instagram pictures. Everyone knows. You probably
He filters the hell out of them.
filters the shit out.
No, turns the grain up. I've seen him
I
in
am
person. His arms are only 18 inches. They're
Yeah,
not really.
yeah,
tiny.
yeah.
I'm
Right.
such a wizard with Photoshop, man. I'm like, Photoshop is just like my jam, man. Like that's my thing. I don't know.
I can see
There's
that.
probably something. There's probably something new out nowadays, man. Like another
You could
editing
be
tool
using.
that I
Yeah,
don't
you're
know of.
blind already.
But I'm so old school, man. I just use Photoshop. I'm just a
Yeah.
pro.
There we go. So I know people are very excited. What do you think? I mean, you've had a big break since that last show you did in 2023, wasn't that? Was that Dallas?
Texas, yeah, Texas Pro, yeah,
Texas Pro.
my
So the last
pro
time
debut.
people actually saw you on stage for your debut, what do you expect to show them now that's different? What do you expect to bring? What's the chatter going to be when you walk off stage in the morning?
I know that the thing, obviously, when I came off stage for Texas was the conditioning in the back, and I think we've improved. We're right on track for conditioning being the best that I've been. And my back has been brought up enough, where I think it'll be very comparable to some of the guys, the top guys. So I think that when they walk off stage, they'll see that, hey, he brought up his back and he brought the conditioning. So,
Right.
that's one thing is like the conditioning has been just our main focus. I have enough muscle. I'm not a guy who like, oh man, he's going to eat away at his tissue easily. If you, he's going to starve him and run him into the ground. Like my muscle's going to stick. We know that. It's just the game of pushing and pulling correctly to, balance, with my UC that I have, my ulcerative colitis, balancing the stressors of prep, obviously. So we've done a great job of that. And like, I have had zero issues with that. My overall stress has just been super low. Like I feel like this has been I would have to say the best prep I've ever had, just because like the stress has been managed so well.
That's
What
awesome.
what do you attribute that to? Like, what do you think really have been major factors at keeping your, like you mentioned the colitis briefly, keeping that at bay, keeping everything calm, keeping your body calm? What do you think you've learned?
So, starting with like obviously like life stress, I think like everything in life is going well right now. Like I've spoken about this on a couple other podcasts, but I worked on managing my anxiety and a bit of depression that I was experiencing, and also just overall just having the good support team around me with my family. Obviously, we all came together after the death of my cousin, which really took a while for me to kind of recover from that. But in that, I really did go back to finding my passion for bodybuilding,
That's cool.
and what I really love about it, and how blessed I am to have an opportunity to to do what I do, right, and to be a professional bodybuilder, getting into the Arnold Classic. I mean, that's something that I'm super blessed to have. So it's just just the mental work was done first, and then having a great support team around me. And as far as like the physical work, my coach and we've done a great job of pushing and pulling, with the diet, with the nutrition, with the training,
Mm-hmm.
where I'm not running myself into the ground, because as an athlete we're all psycho, right? We're all bodybuilders, we're crazy to some extent, right? Like
For sure.
Jay Cutler said, you got to be a little effed up in the head to do this, and
Right.
I agree. So he tempers me a little bit to make sure I don't push myself too hard, as far as like I'll grind myself into the ground with training even though calories are super low. What I mean? So like, and that will flare up my ulcerative colitis because that's a stressor. So we make sure to really hone in on everything about like, hey man, how are you feeling today? I'm feeling good. Okay, yeah, good. Keep pushing. How'd you feel yesterday? I was a little run down. Okay, well, we'll remove your second cardio for session for today, and tell me how you feel in the morning. So like we're speaking daily, making adjustments, slight adjustments here and there to make sure that everything is running smoothly. And I think that's honestly why everything just feels so great. Obviously, it's prep, and I'm tired, like I'm dog tired. But as far as that, like I can't complain. Like I haven't had to deal with any flare ups or anything, so it's been good.
Nice. How does your how's your work crew think of all this? Your real work.
Oh, honestly,
and
For those who
that.
don't know, tell everyone what you do, because I know it's a little different than Ron, Scott, and I.
You do a personal training a little on the side on the weekends, right?
That's it, right? That's all you do.
Exactly. So yeah, I sum it up as kind of being like my role's kind of morphed into being like a project manager now,
Nice.
where I am, just managing, the different sites that we have for my lab. Well, the lab that I work in is an Alzheimer's disease genetics lab, and they have some studies that they work on, specifically one called ACAD, and that's Asian cohort for Alzheimer's disease, and they study, Alzheimer's disease in Asian Americans and Canadians. Some sites in Vancouver, Toronto, and around Canada and the States. So I basically kind of help with project managing, the sites and all of our documents. So I'm a pencil pusher behind the scenes.
You look like one.
Perfect.
You're the most odd pencil pusher in the history of the world, just so you know.
Yeah. So yeah, but it's nice, and they come to understand about what I do, and they don't really. I don't get as many questions as I've gotten in the past, obviously, because I've been there for so long. So it's nice. They let me do what I do, right. And I have a good time. Everyone's they chime in and they say like, well, I saw you did this show, and congratulations, and so
that's awesome.
That's cool. I remember a couple of years ago when we were going to record, you're like, oh, I got to do it in the evening with work, and got to schedule it that way. And now today, guys, just to let Ron and Dusty know, he said, hey, we could do it anytime, man. I could do it afternoon. 1:30 works for me.
Up.
Yep. Now you get to do your own schedule. And if you need to do a podcast, you can stop and do that. I think that's freaking great, man.
Yeah,
I think he actually just told the powers that be. He was like, well, it's just Bible. And they're like, oh, no way. Right. Because they all listen to us all the time.
Yeah.
So like Ron, Dusty, and Scott. Well, go ahead.
Yeah.
We're to pay
everyone at the genetic lab knows us.
Yeah.
They send like, you ring around? The bell. Yeah. They're going to send you around to those other sites. Like, will you be going to Toronto or coming to Vancouver or doing any of that stuff to do anything with those labs?
No, it's just all via Zoom and
right,
video calls and stuff now. So
I was just wondering if you stumble into an office where they haven't seen you yet. You know what I mean? That's what I'm kind of wondering.
I thought you were wondering if he was going to stumble into West Coast Iron because he
was he'd be invited, obviously. But I just thought maybe they'd be like, "Oh, that Carlos guy's in town to see how we're doing." When he comes in,
comes in just with just a binder and just a tight polo.
Yeah, a polo shirt just
are tight for you, sir.
Yeah.
Let's not get confused. So are you?
A tight polo shirt is.
Because I get a lot of clients who are going up the ranks, obviously, and they get intimidated as the shows get bigger. And I always push to them that it's the same thing. It's just another show. But how do you manage that? I mean, when you're looking at, and I'll be the one that says it because I know you and you're way too humble. Like, you're going to beat guys you looked up to, and how do you did that even enter your mind, or is it just another bodybuilding show?
I think it in the past it would have entered my mind. But this year, I've just been like, how people always say, man, just enjoy the process, just enjoy the process. Before I was like, F the process, I'm outcome. I want to get to the show. Right. And I want to win. I want to do this. But honestly, this time around, I've just been like enjoying that process, enjoying the training. I've gotten back to just like loving training for what it is, loving bodybuilding for what it is. And with that, I know that the outcome will be predetermined as like, I'm on the right track. I'm doing all the things I need to do. I'm crossing my T's and dotting my I's. Everything is taken care of. Sorry, dog in the background. I love to see it. It just
walks by. Yeah. She thinks she's a cat, by the way, but it's all right.
But like in the past, I would have been a little bit more concerned about it. But now I think it comes with a little bit of age and a little bit more experience that I really can enjoy the process of it. So I'm not so caught up in, oh man, like I really looked up to Brandon and William and Akeem and Sean and Clarita, and I'm like, I'm gonna get these guys. I'm gonna get them. It doesn't really consume me, but maybe in the past it would have. But this time around, I think maybe it's a bit of maturity in the sport, and then obviously like the things that I've been working on outside of the sport with my own self that I think has just translated into more of a prep where I'm not so focused on, like the outcome of like, I need to beat this guy,
Right.
I'm confident in my abilities. And as I think the people should be confident in their abilities because they're listening to you, their coach, they're checking all the boxes, you're taking care of everything. So you should just be, just getting things done and taking care of the process and enjoying the gym, enjoy,
Right.
Getting to do the cardios and all that stuff. It all sucks, but it'll be here and gone before you know it. I started this prep at 20 weeks out of the Arnold and we're already almost 2 weeks out. It goes like that.
Yeah. That's wild.
So, yeah. So I would say it sounds so silly, but I think enjoying that process, and because we get to choose to do it. And I think that's something that really helped out this year.
Are you able to stay more present now? I mean, it sounds to me like the growth is the present and being, like you said, aware. And that has to be what's impacting the stress, the colitis, all those things, because you're here today, Monday, February 10th. You're not worried about getting to the Arnold. It's just like, what do I got to do today? Is that something that you're able to enjoy more and kind of like you said, be present? Because I've always looked at you and your dad and your guys as just the aura around you guys, and I'm like, I think a lot of people would miss how awesome what you guys have and what your crew is and your team, and it's like being present has to make you realize like, holy shit, like I'm doing the thing,
Yeah. And I think that's what it is, before, I kind of got a little caught up of, the outcome of, oh man, he is going to be this guy. He's going to be touted to be like the next thing. Right. But I'm like, that consumed me, that I lost sight of a lot of the things around me, and I think that right there was a detriment to myself because now I was feeling the pressure and the pressure wasn't really coming from like anyone else outside circumstances, coming from within. And what happens when you're all bottled up pressure, right? It's gotta come out of somewhere. So it just, boom, you blow. At some point, something's got to give. Yeah. And I think that was causing of the stress and the anxiety and the depression, because like, they say like anxiety is when you're focused on the future and depression is when you're focused on the past. And like too much was just consuming that. I wasn't never like here. I was never focused, like present, like of course I was focused on getting the task done, but like truly in the moment of like, man, I get to freaking train with my dad and I'm having a great time. And, like I spend time with my family. I've spent more time during this prep with my family than I have during the other preps because, we isolate ourselves sometimes because we're just in that focus mode. And that's okay to be in. But I've been having the ability now to just shift in and out of, okay, I'm really focused in the gym and I'm, and now I'm like, I'm home. I'm gonna go see my parents. I'm gonna have a good time with my family. I dieted through Thanksgiving and Christmas, but I'm still going to events. These are things that I would have, as I was younger, I would have been like, nope, no, I'm here. And that would have been more not me being in the present. So, being able to, do that and stay present with the family, stay present with friends. And obviously like you're in prep, so you miss things come up where you're just like, I got to go to the gym. It's just what it is. Like, I have to stick to this. It is what it is. But I have people who are very understanding. But, this time around, I think just like, maybe again, it's maturity. But, just getting into staying present and being able to be like, hey, like, I don't have to isolate myself. I don't have to do that. I can be around family. I can do all these things and still be the best Carlos Thomas Jr. I think that right there has really alleviated a lot of the stress.
CTJ.
Yeah, that's
Careful, get the name right. Jeez.
That's CTJ.
We'll help you. By the end of this episode, you'll know your name.
Yeah. I see that there's a few questions. I know you mentioned the colitis, and I don't want to harp on it, but a lot of people suffer from that stuff.
Yeah.
And here you are, calm as a bomb, looking the best you've ever looked, body's in a great spot, you've got it under control completely, you're doing bodybuilding on an extremely high level, the highest level. What do you think made the biggest differences? I know stress and everything, but is there any foods you completely eliminated or anything you just stopped doing completely that made a big difference? What could you do to what advice would you give others that are bodybuilding and struggling with, this type of autoimmune stuff?
Yeah. So, I did work with a lot of good people. Like Scott, you just had him over on Blood, Sweat, and Gear. It was Dom Mestasio. Dom Super Slice.
Dom's great.
He helped me. Yeah, Dom's awesome. He's a wizard. He definitely helped me out. So I take a lot of oral BPC and TB500 as well.
Okay.
And those have helped greatly.
You mind if I ask
time.
what you dose that at the BPC orally?
I have it right here. 500 micrograms twice a day.
Okay. And how long before you saw a difference with that? I'm curious personally.
Yeah.
I would say I probably started around May, and off season I can't really tell because stress is very low. Life stress is very low, and prep. The cardio isn't jacked up, and we're not doing like a lot of like intense low food and training and things that cause all the stress. But I would say I have noticed this biggest difference during this prep because I started prep in October, and we're here now. And I would probably say I have had maybe 1 or 2 mini flare-ups just from pushing myself a little bit too hard in the gym, which is something that I can tell. Like if I go way overboard with too many supersets, drop sets, or just crazy intensifiers, I can tell like I stress my body. I'll feel it the next day with like I call it like a little mini flare-up where I'm like going to the bathroom a little bit extra. I'm like, okay, push myself a little bit too hard. But as far as like the big ones that would offset me and take me out for a while, I haven't had any of those. And I take again the 500 micrograms twice a day, and I would say, I started probably in May, so May to October I was religious with taking it twice a day, up until now, So. And
what about the TB500? That's not oral, is it? You can't do that orally, can you?
It's the TB4 frag. So it's TB4 frag. So it's like the oral version of TB500.
Oh, cool.
Interesting.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah. I didn't even know that was a thing. There we go.
Yeah.
But I just nod my head and go, yeah, TB4 frag.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah, I did.
Of course, Ron.
I didn't know either. I didn't know either till I was talking with Dom and he was breaking it down to me. Obviously, he's smarter, way smarter than I could ever be. This guy's a genius.
You mean there's people smarter than us?
Yeah, right?
That can't be.
I was like, what?
Dom's awesome.
So yeah. So I've done that, and then and then obviously like in my day to day, like I stay away from things like spices and things like that can irritate me, and gluten. I start to say like little life choices like that can help out a bit a lot. So
yeah. Okay. All those things kind of combined together. You kind of related, kind of off, but I'm just curious. I know for a lot of people who don't know, the Arnold Classic isn't a show that just everybody can just decide to go into. You have to apply, you have to get accepted. I'm curious, when did you first find out that you were going to be accepted to the Arnold?
I think it was like December 14th or whenever they put the poster up on their IG page.
So you found out when we found out, huh?
You found out on Instagram.
Yeah.
I let him know. Yeah. Hey, by the way.
Wow.
So that week they were like, we're putting out the list this week. And I was just like, refresh.
Oh, that's crazy. I thought that you get an email or something ahead of time. You hear stories about people.
I'm not that cool. I'm not that cool, man.
You know?
Yeah. You get all the top guys. They're like, they just say they're going to do it and they're in. Like,
yeah.
For me, I gotta find out like, oh, there's those guys.
You hear stories of guys like finding out they were traded because they're watching the news.
Yeah.
Like, oh my god. Like Luca.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. It's a bad day for him and for Dallas.
Oh man. So you start prep. You start prep for the Arnold.
Yeah. Well,
and
the thing was, we started 24 weeks out of Detroit because Detroit is 4 weeks after. So the plan was like, okay, if the Arnold is a no-go, we're already ahead for Detroit.
Yeah. Right.
So that was the kind of how we like planned it out.
Oh man. Well, congratulations on getting accepted. How do you think they pick? What do you think? Why do you think they they granted your invitation to the Arnold.
Have you seen him?
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, have you seen those legs, Ron?
I can tell you why they didn't even let me send an option.
Yeah.
My emails got declined my whole career. They just wouldn't go through.
Yeah. Well, he did, because you've done one pro show, right? So there's some reason the promoters are like, we got to get this guy in here, we want this guy.
Yeah.
So,
And I think
that's awesome.
I think that does help. I think that does help out. Obviously, like the name is coming up a little bit more, and seeing the physique, the potential in it. I think that does help out a bit. So I'm like, no questions asked. I'm in it. Let's go.
Yeah,
You messed up.
Why does it matter?
Go before they change their mind. Hurry up before they change their mind.
They've had a lot of like they always try to get. I talked to Mike Davies about this before. They used to make those decisions, Ron, at Mike's gym. Back when Lormer ran everything, they had a board meeting, and a group of people met at Lormer's office. I don't know how it's changed now. And they would just kind of go through all the athletes, and then they'd kind of roundtable it and decide, and then they'd call Arnold. He'd have obviously a say in it too. But I know they'd always look for guys that were like good up-and-comers that represented the sport well, and I'm sure that's what they see in you too. You're potentially the future of the sport now. So that's...
And Arnold loves a small waist.
Yeah, there's that.
Yes.
Yeah, you got the aesthetics.
You got the crazy, ridiculous, insane V-taper on that frame. So what about, let's get to the actual muscle, the tissue of the whole thing. What's your plan to show people, what was your body weight at the Texas Pro compared to now? Like where are you in that regard? All the kind of nuts and bolts of the physique itself.
Yeah. I was 230 at the Texas Pro, and obviously conditioning could have been better, but I would say I've already beaten that conditioning, and I'm at 242 right now.
Nice.
So I think probably 235, but better conditioning, like than the Texas Pro would be so right on par.
Like probably easily a 10-pound body comp.
Yeah. If I was in best condition at the Texas Pro, probably like 10 pounds. If I was if I was at really, really good condition Texas Pro.
Right.
Yeah. I would say so. Yeah.
And what are you doing this prep to get that better condition? What lessons have you guys applied to this run?
So again, it's when I came off the bat to the Texas Pro prep, I came off the bat of a very bad flare up getting ready for the New York Pro that I had to not do because of that. So I started this prep in a better position, like internally and like mentally as well. So I think that has helped out a lot. Like the body is just was able to kind of do its thing without having, like trying to manage other stuff. If that makes sense, like it's just been a very like gradual descent. And things have actually turned around where this has never happened to me before, but I haven't lost much weight. I'd probably lost about 10 to 12 pounds. So there was a little bit of muscle gain during this prep, which was, I would attribute to the way we were training. The training style was a bit more, dumbbells, barbells. I like to call it back to basics. It was nice, old school heavy, weight. And it was just, it was a really, really good style of training that I just like feel like I connected back with, kind of getting away from, I think I was doing too many nuanced things, right? When sometimes the basics just work, right? Makes sense. Like sometimes it just work. And I think we get away. I think I got away from that a bit. But as far as like the conditioning, we've been able to, manipulate the diet where, we'll bring down like, carbohydrates on my rest days, obviously. So carb cycling has helped out a lot. And then, we're cycling, like the cardio was getting cycled a bit, like where it was like, okay, I've actually heard some days, I used to speak about this too, Scott, like some days it might be more, some days might be a little bit less. And I think that's just helped my body just, for lack of a better terms, keep the body from getting stagnant, right? Like it's just been, because I have a very adaptive physique, I would say. Like if you try to do one thing, it will work for a couple days, but then it'll just quickly just stall. So we've done things to keep the body just slightly taking steps forward. So at no point have we really had too much of like a stall in like the physique, as far as like the weight might have dropped, might not have dropped, but the composition changed.
Right.
And then sometimes the weight dropped, and along with that came the composition change as well. So I would just say this time around, we just took steps where it was just a gradual descent. Boom, 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 boom. Where things in the past, I was kind of like I was always fighting to get to the finish line, and I feel like this time we're not really doing that. So yeah.
That's
cool.
awesome.
And you started at what was the first time you competed? What division were you in, or what weight class were you in? Because I know, talking to Andrew Barry back in the day, I remember the year that you turned pro, him telling me, "Oh yeah, man, I've seen him compete since he was a middleweight. He always had crazy shape to his legs. Obviously, they've gotten a lot bigger over the years."
Yeah. I was a middleweight. When I first started out. So,
okay.
Yeah, when I first started, yeah.
How old were you?
I was 22 when I did my first competition. I'm 32 now. So I did my first competition, like 10 years ago. Yeah,
okay.
So this is quite some time.
And when you got your pro card, where were you at weight-wise there? Because I remember that looked distinctly.
I weighed in as a super heavy, but I was 219 on stage.
Okay. Yeah. So that's some incredible change. Yeah. So that's some incredible progress to have made. Somebody who already had, a huge physique to continue growing like that.
And you're one of the guys that can pull off the Sergio pose.
You gotta have arms for that.
One of the three.
Yeah.
There's like three
I'm gonna need more amateurs to not do that. When I go to local shows, I'm like, no, oh no.
Sergio was there, a junior, and that's like my big bro, man. He's ever since I got into the sport, he's been very helpful for me. And so I asked him, I was like, "Hey man, can I hit the pose? Can I hit the victory pose, man?" And he's like, "Yeah, go ahead, do it." He's like, "You should do it." And I was like, "I'm gonna do it." So it was awesome. Yeah, it was great. I was so hyped. It was fun. It was a good
I
time.
wonder how many times Sergio or Sergio Jr. had to tell people, maybe that's not the pose for you. You know what I mean?
More times than not.
Right, exactly. Yeah. It was like the one time. He's like, "Go for it."
No one will know.
Yeah.
Do you have that and like the crucifix pose, or like just two poses that are just like they just open you right up and expose you?
Oh yeah.
Who is your number one motivator, or like motivation when you were coming up trying to turn pro and get huge? Like, who did you really look up to? Oh
man, I during that time it was a lot of because I just came in 2014. Well, 2013 is when I decided to start bodybuilding, and I saw this was when Phil Heath just won his third Mr. Olympia, so I picked up a Muscular Development magazine, and he was doing a side chest on it, and I saw like that ham drop, the separation and everything, how thick everything was, and I was like, that's it. That's what I want to look like. I want to be like this guy. Not that I know, like at the time he was 3-time champion, and he would go on to win 7. But that right there, like seeing his physique was like a motivator for me, because that was the first like obviously I knew Jay and Ronnie just from like bodybuilding kind of permeating throughout fitness, and I was really into fitness itself because I played football and I was in the gym lifting, and they kind of rose above like the bubble of bodybuilding, right? They kind of got outside of that and expanded into into regular culture. So I knew about those guys. But it wasn't until I started getting into bodybuilding, I picked up a magazine that I knew that I started to see Phil Heath, I started to see Kai Green, and those guys right there, man, their rivalry throughout those years that I was coming up, that really motivated me, because I was like, Kai's like this little intellectual guy, and he's always talking this long, deep conversations for like 30 minutes. But then Phil's like the guy who's like, I'm going to kick your butt and I'm going to win this thing. And both of those guys resonated with me, because I was like, I'm kind of introverted, but I'm super competitive because I played sports. So I loved, watching both of their videos. And those guys, honestly, like they were like the guys who motivated me to get into bodybuilding and get big and put on the size and stuff like that.
I often tell people that, when I started training, Lee Haney was my first Mr. Olympia, right?
Mm-hmm.
When I went into the gym, Lee Haney was a champ, and he was on the cover of the mags, and it was like Lee Haney was the man, And it's sort of like when you get older and you ID someone at a liquor store and it says 2004, and you're like, oh shit, you're old enough to be in here. It started asking you, who is your first Mr. Olympia? And you say Phil Heath. I'm like, damn, I'm getting old. Damn.
Yeah.
Phil Heath was your first Mr. Olympia? Holy shit. And just like to see how far your physique's come, and like it's amazing. You know, it's this new crop of guys. Phil Heath was there first, and you guys are coming to take everything.
You wouldn't believe it, man. I remember I was at a show and Lee was there, and he let me hold he had his sandal. He let me hold his sandal, I have a picture with it. And then
Lee Haney was there.
Yeah, I have a picture of it. And there's some super young guys in line waiting to get into the show. And they're like, who's that guy? Who's that guy? And I'm like, they don't know who Lee Haney is? Whoa, I was about to have an aneurysm in the middle of the line. I was like, please, you could take me away, God, because I don't want to be here anymore. Because I was like, they don't know who Lee Haney is. And I was like, this is crazy. And I had to educate them, of course. I had to tell them, obviously. I had to do my part for the community.
It was your job at that point, yeah.
It was my job.
The man of the people.
The man of the people. I was tasked to educate them, and I did so. But yeah, it's crazy, right? Like, and like they in their Olympia. This was when this 2 years ago now. So like they were like what, like who had took it, Hobby, or it was Hobby, right? No, before Hobby, it was a
or Ramy guys or something. Yeah.
That's so wild. Yeah, it's funny when you look, because I talked to Lee at Gold's Venice one time, and it was so funny because he walked in and people were in and out, and I'm like, do they not know? So I walked over and started talking to him. He talked to me for 20 minutes.
Oh man,
just like he is willing to go in, you know, and he does not shy away from. And it was so funny because I started to notice people realizing and kind of coming over, and I'm like, how was he standing in the pro shop just chilling? You know, he's just trying to get his water, and I'm like, he does not pay for water. That's on me.
One of the problems with Lee Haney is he still looks like he's 45 years old.
Yeah.
So people that guy's not old enough to be Lee Haney. Does he like 60 and he looks 42? It's unbelievable.
Yeah, skin still looks good. Like he still looks good.
That's what happens when you retire.
I was thinking that too.
13 years old.
Yeah.
Hey, are you? I know you were coached by Andrew Vu, but are you coached by? Is it Patrick Tuor now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, how's that going? What's it like working with him?
Patrick's awesome. You know, he's very, you know, directive. Like he's like you know, this is the plan. You know, I ask questions. He answers the questions. You know, it's just like it runs very smoothly. You know, he's like a no nonsense kind of guy. Yeah. I actually worked with him getting ready for my pro not my pro debut, but getting ready for my my pro qualifier at the Nationals. Oh, okay. And yeah, he really leveled up my mindset of, you know, that professional mindset, because when I got into that 2021 off season, getting ready for my pro card with him, you know, I didn't do any cheat meals at off season until I went to a vacation. But until that vacation time, it was like 5 months of just like locked in. And I was actually eating so much food that I didn't want to eat anything. So that was the thing. I was like, that was the first time I had gotten to the point where I was like, oh man, it's 11 o'clock. I still got one more meal. I'm gonna take a nap, wake up at 1 o'clock and eat again. Like that. Like so when people ask me, man, what'd you do to get from the middleweight to the super heavies? It's like, I did that. Like I ate to the point where like I had to take a nap at 11 o'clock to wake up and finish my last meal because I had to get it in. And, you know, like these were so he really like pushed me to be, you know, like a professional before I was a professional. So he's very, I would say his approach to everything is like, all right, this is, we're treating this like it's a job to get done. Obviously we enjoy the process, but yeah, I love his mindset when it comes to, you know, just like the competition and the competing. And, you know, I mean, he's like, you know, we talk about blocking the outside noise, you know, let the work will be the thing that speaks for itself. And he's great. I very much enjoy working with Patrick.
I got another one then. So, and I don't know if you'll have an answer for this. You might not, but I'm gonna put you on the spot and try to get one. So I've had the experience of working with people and then them working with somebody else and then them coming back to work with me. And, time passes between, and in that time we've both grown as people, and I've grown as a coach, right? My methods aren't the same as they were 5 years ago. A lot of times when somebody comes back to work with me, they know what to expect, but they also kind of, not only do they know what to expect, they also expect me to do things the way I did before. Is there anything that kind of surprised you going back to work with Patrick again, where you're like, I didn't expect him to do that this time?
Well, like we really pushed really hard for the 2021 Nationals. And there was at a point where my body started to stall, and it was just not moving forward. It wasn't progressing. And, when we got back, started working for this, we brought that up again, and he was like, he knows there's a fine line of like, okay, if we push you too hard, like it's not going to move, you're going to regress. So now we're seeing like that fine line of, I mentioned earlier, of pushing and pulling, like where before we just hammered at it, and it's cool, I could take it, like mentally I had no problem, but physically my body's just like, we don't want to go anymore. But so that's something that we both realized. And as he realized that, I've gotten older and I've gotten more in tune with my own body, right? And knowing knowing like, okay, the signs of fatigue in my body, because I'm, as an athlete, like you just go, like, right. Growing up in football, I was like, I don't care. Like coach tells me to run through this guy's face, I'm gonna run through this guy's face.
Right.
And I'm like, no carbs, don't care, full training session, full send. And sometimes you have to do that. But then there's like a point where the body kind of starts to just regress, right? And we figured that out. Like, okay, like there's a certain point of time where like we have to like probably scale me back a little bit. So training started to get a little bit the diet started to get lower in calories, cardio started to get higher. So we have a call, and he says, okay, no more SST, his training style. He's like, I want you to do everything 2 reps in reserve.
Okay. Yeah.
And then I was like, are you sure? I had to double check, and he was like, yeah, no, like this is what I want you to do. So that's just something that like a phone call we never would have had, previous year.
That's cool.
But now, we've both grown and we have more communication. I've grown enough to be more in tune with what's going on with my body, and I can relay that to him properly now.
Yeah. Right.
I love that.
How was that for you mentally to battle both sides of yourself? Because I imagine, as someone who is highly competitive, it had to have taken some time to navigate the difference between being tired and knowing, no, I need to back down. Because I imagine that drive in you was telling you, F it, just go. Just keep going. Like, that had to have taken some serious maturity and, like you said, listening to the body and knowing the signs and the difference between bitching out and needing a break.
Maturity? Yeah. What's maturity, Dusty?
I wouldn't know.
I think it just came from doing the same thing over and seeing and just seeing the same result. And I'm just like, I get to a certain point in prep, and you're just like, okay, the body's starting to look like this. It's starting to look same. And then you look back at pictures and you correlate okay, this was the training during the time. This was the diet during the time, because I save everything. And I look at the pictures during the time, and I go forward, I go backwards, and I'm like, what's the common denominator here? I'm like, okay, it has to be this thing. So to be to be objective with it, I had to, lay out everything out and look at it, from an outside view. And then again, I have my dad in there with me. So he also knows, what Patrick says. So he's like, all right, two reps in reserve. Where I'm like, man, I kind of want to do another one. He's like, no.
He's grabbing the bar and pulling it back.
I'm like, that set went pretty nice. I kind of think we could throw, an extra 20 pounds on there. And he's like, And then sometimes he's like, okay, you're good. Like, throw an extra 20 pounds on, let's get it. And I'm fine. So it's good to have someone there that knows me, and he's seen me obviously spin in the gym with me for years, and he can, and he's someone that I'll listen to, who can be another objective, set of eyes, in person outside of myself to help But it did take a long time, because I had that dog mentality of like, this is what you have to do. And it took a while for me to get there to not feel like, man, I'm bitching out. Like, like,
Right.
that's not what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. But at some point I saw that it wasn't making me better. It was actually kind of going the other way.
Right.
So yeah.
Right.
Makes sense.
Yeah. You got to be smart when you need to be smart, and dog when you need to be dog, I guess.
Yeah.
What
Yeah,
I
it's
want to
hard.
ask you mentioned when you used to play football, and I played some football too in high school. So, and I love the game. Just watched the Super Bowl yesterday. I'm sure.
Nice.
Did we all watch the Super Bowl yesterday?
Of course we did.
No, Scott didn't watch Super Bowl.
I watched up to the second half, and then I was like, this game's done, so I'm done.
Okay. Who's your team? Do you have a team? Who's your team?
I'm Commanders.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
so,
Okay.
Well, that was good
Yeah.
for you then, because I always say if someone beats you, you need to want them to win unless it's the Chiefs.
Right.
But no, that was.
and I just knew that Philly was going to burn their whole city down. I was like, if Philly wins, they burn the city down. If Philly loses, they burn the city down.
Burn
So
the
I was
city
like,
down. Of course they
I'm
do.
just waiting for the city to burn down here. So.
Yeah. No, I just wanted to ask you, like, we talk about, I've talked about how I think all the best bodybuilders were athletes as a kid. I just think that that's like a carryover. And I've talked about the need to have been in a position where where you have to run for your life. And how that comes into play during prep, during those hard sessions. And I'm just wondering, do you draw on football without realizing it? Or is there something from football that you think is in you now as a pro bodybuilder that you can reflect on?
Oh yeah, most definitely. Honestly, I think I think bodybuilding is tough, but as far as like physically demanding, like some of those practices were so tough. Like
Yeah.
like 3 a day type practices, 2 a day type practices in the heat, in the middle of July, August.
All the
You're
running.
running gassers, and you're sweating. Like I know that like if I put myself in that situation now, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. So like I know like mentally, like I know that I can take if I have to take it there, meaning like that extra place, I can find it
just
within
miserable.
myself.
Yeah.
I can find it within myself. Like I can dig it out from somewhere, because I know that that's what football taught me. It's like it's like when you think you may be on your last your last breath of like, oh man, this run is tough. Like I'm dog tired. Like you can find it in you to go again. And I think that like that when I do like the prep gets to this point where you're so tired and you're barely walking around and everything feels like a chore. Like like that if I can do it again because I can do it because it's going to make me better. Like
Right.
this set's going to make me better. This extra walk is going to make me better. Like me just doing the little things are going to make me better. And I think taking that from football and putting it to bodybuilding has helped out tremendously. Yeah, and that's why I still love football to this day. I wish I could still do it if I could, but that's why.
Yeah.
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 Put me in, coach.
Yeah. I loved football, and I often think that it was like some of the hardest stuff I ever did. So, you know what I mean? Like, so it's funny, 30 plus years later, can still draw on it occasionally if I need to. Sometimes you're on doing a set and you just gotta like, I got two more. Like I don't know. I think about it a lot, and
I think it does help. I would say, and actually now reflecting on it, it was some of the toughest training in times I've had, and man, it reminds me of this time when we were running gassers across the field back and forth because it was our conditioning test, and guys were just dropping out like flies, just dropping because it's just hot, like
Yeah.
quitting. And I told to myself, no matter how slow I go, I won't quit.
Yeah.
So and that's the thing about sometimes in bodybuilding, it's like no matter how hard the diet gets, no matter how much cardio you have to do, just don't stop moving. Like don't stop. You know what I mean? Eat the meal,
Mhm.
do the training, do the cardio, because if you stop, like that's it. Like you dropped off. You're done. That's it.
Yeah.
I think
I
we've
remember
all done
actually saying, like, don't sit down.
negotiations.
Yeah.
The negotiations on the step mill or whatever, where you got 20 minutes left, and you're like, just do 5 more minutes.
Yeah.
And they do the 5 more minutes, and you're like, well, I mean, if I could just do that 3 more times, I'll be there. So and then by the time we're at 5 minutes, like, it's just 5 sets of 1 minute at a time. It's like you just keep breaking it down until you're finally off of the thing.
Just extracting mini victories out of it, as many as you possibly can.
But that right there is a lesson that my coach told me. And it's so funny because he used to say, how do you eat an elephant, fellas? One bite at a time.
Yep.
Yeah. One bite at a time.
Yeah.
So that's true. So like everything, and again, like it's just like and that's kind of how I approach this prep. One bite at a time, like one task at a time. One meal at a time. One day at a time. Never getting too ahead of myself. And I think that's why it's been like one of the best preps. Again, like it's prep and you're tired and you're exhausted and you just like, man, I'm just done. But if you just keep one bite at a time, like eventually you'll get there.
That's an acetoism that he taught me forever ago, which I literally think of all the time. Was when I got to the point where he knew it was like we're in the deep water now. He would just call you sometimes. The phone rings, and as soon as you pick up the phone with aceto, he starts talking. There's no hello, there's no nothing. He's like, I pick up the phone, I'm like, hey Chris. He goes, listen, it's really we're at that point now where I'm going to be asking you way too much. And the day is way too long. He's like, so here's your new rule. You're only allowed to think of the day 1 hour at a time. He's like, so when you wake up, because I owned retail stores at the time too. He's like, when you wake up, it's 7 a.m. You're allowed to think of everything you need to get done by 8 and nothing else. And when you get to 8 a.m., you can think about everything you need to do by 9. He goes, because if you think of the whole day, it's too much. You'll mentally break down. And he goes, but I know you can do it 1 hour at a time. And I remember thinking like, that's a little extreme. I'm just bodybuilding. And then about a week into it, I was like, okay, 1 hour at a time. He's right. We just got to think about 1 hour at a time. That stuff's game changing when you have it. Cause it's just like you said about, what you were saying about breaking down the cardio. If you're smoked and it's 10 a.m. and you still have to train and work and go to the store and cook, it's a lot. But if you're like, all right, I finished this meal and I've got to answer some work emails till 11. That you can handle. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's just real small. And when you accumulate those, by the end of the day, you go, that wasn't that bad.
I have to add an acetoism, a new one.
Love it.
A new one.
Because aceto comes up. Yeah. How Dusty said, Chris doesn't say hello on the phone. He just starts talking.
Yes.
So I was in Mexico last weekend on a holiday, and we were sitting at the table, and the phone rings, and it's Chris Aceto. And I wouldn't answer the phone on a holiday
for anyone else.
But Emily rang. Yeah, Emily even looks at it. She's like, "Oh, it's Chris." Like she knows it. She's like, "Oh, it's Chris. You better answer that." So I say, "Hey, Chris, what's up?" And he goes, "The Canadian trend is going to cost 25% more with the new tariffs." Yeah, it never ends. Okay,
I'd love to get in a couple of these listener questions we've got here, guys. There's one. I don't know, Carlos, if you've got time or not in your life at the moment. Meaning, like, I know you're busy with the prep, but do you have any like unusual hobby that's not related to bodybuilding whatsoever?
You bird watcher?
Yeah.
Big bird watcher?
You eat apples at night? Never mind.
Half apple. You gotta split it with the wife.
I was just speaking about this. Is like I haven't gone right now in a while, but I do like to like the Philadelphia Museum is not too far away, so I like to go there. I have like a little membership there. It's just very calming. I like to go and walk around the exhibits, and they're really I just like to look at them. And then it's nice to walk around the museum because that's like where they filmed Rocky at, and they have the Rocky statue. So it's always very peaceful to walk around the area. So that's cool. Yeah, I like to do that. And that's like when I'm, because it's about like a 35-minute ride, 45-minute ride away from me. So I like to visit there, and then I'm a big anime guy. Like that's my thing. Like I like to
Okay.
do that, and I like to
Okay.
I like to game. Like
What
I
are you
have like this
playing?
here. Like this is like a Kingdom Hearts Keyblade. Right here, like this is a necklace that I got. So like, if you guys know about Kingdom Hearts, that's like a video game that's pretty big.
Oh
But
wow. Okay.
I know
right
nothing about it.
now,
What kind of game is it?
it's just like it was like an old school PS2 game. So
Okay.
like it was
Okay.
just like when like it was pretty fun. Like when I was growing up. So yeah, I like to play, but right now I haven't played in a while, but I like to play like Diablo is one, and then like there's this new game come out called Wukong Black Myth. It's based on Journey to the West, like the Monkey King, and like that's a game that I'm probably gonna like. I haven't bought it yet, but I want to buy it and play that. And then there's this other game that I just saw that was coming that might be coming out. I don't know if you guys are like Nintendo guys, but they have like Smash Bros and stuff like that. Like those
Like
are
the
pretty
classics.
cool. Like yeah, the classic game, like the classic Nintendo. So I have a Nintendo Switch, and I think they're going to be coming out with a new Smash Bros game. So I'd love to play that. I get super competitive. So yeah, like and then like Mario Kart and stuff like that. Stuff that kind of keeps me busy during the prep. So yeah.
I'm coming up with
Love
a new business idea right now. We're going to do a live streaming bodybuilders playing video games channel. And we're going to feature you versus Hollingshead head to head.
Yeah.
Winner
Gotta
takes
come up
all.
with something.
Oh man, I'm like he likes to play like those. I know he likes to play like COD and stuff like that.
Yeah. He liked the first person
I'm-
shooters and stuff. It sounds like your
Yeah,
taste is a little different.
Yeah, I'm either like an RPG, or I do like like the one-on-one fighting games like Mortal Kombat or like Soul Calibur.
Oh, yeah.
Or I don't know if you guys ever play like Tekken, like growing up, like play like the Tekken games. But yeah, those are my jams. Like there used to be one in an old pizza shop that had like Tekken 3, and I'd go into the pizza shop and I'd like order a couple slices of pizza and I'd just play that thing all day, man. Like
Yep. $20 in
it. I spent more money on the game than I did the pizza. So the guy,
They don't mind.
yeah.
Street Fighter would have been before your time, I think, right?
Yeah. But they had Street Fighter, and then they had when it was like Marvel had a Marvel versus Capcom. So it was like Marvel superheroes versus Capcom fighters. So yeah, Street Fighter is awesome too.
Nice.
So yeah, all those arcade games are super fun. Like I like to play those. So if James wants to smoke, I'll play him.
I love
That's
it.
funny.
You'll love this, Carlos, because it'll show how old I am. But there was, when I was in high school, there was a place called Nickelcade where they had all the games and they were a nickel a piece to play. So you'd go and it was like $5 to come in, but then you could play your games for a nickel. And I missed a lot of school.
Wait, I'm older than you, Dusty. I'm older than you, and they cost me a quarter where I live. So that place must have been
Nickelcade
insane.
was a sleigh. It was amazing. It's probably still open.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's probably now $5 cade.
Right. It's still a deal.
I like to go to the movie. If we ever go to the movies, I like to go early, like a half an hour early, because they've got a little arcade there.
Yeah.
And just the feeling of popping some. Well, I guess we put dollar coins in them now. Shit, but popping those coins in and those Canadian loonies and playing some arcade games I grew up in arcades, so it's fun to actually play games in an arcade. The whole machine shakes and everything goes crazy and I had a few questions here too. Just okay, you have to watch a movie during prep. You got to throw on a movie during prep. What are you going to throw on?
Mm-hmm. Oh man, yeah. There's very few movies. I judge a movie of how rewatchable is it. So that's usually what I do, because there's plenty of movies that I could just watch and I just don't watch them anymore. But I would say currently, right now, like I could watch like the Creed series. Creed 1 and 2 are pretty good. But then I was just watching the other day. Godfather. I was just watching that. I don't know why, but it just caught my eye again. I was just watching that one. But then I would say one that I can always rewatch, like without failure, is Skyfall by the James Bond movie. Skyfall with Daniel Craig.
Great movie. One of the best ones.
It is one of the best ones. And the cinematography, the color grading of the whole, it's just like from the score of the movie is just masterpiece, beautiful. I think it's the best of like the Daniel Craig series.
That whole scene at the end in the house, the whole thing in the house, that whole ending sequence is so awesome.
It's so good.
And I just rewatched the James Bond movies. I went from the first one all the way to the last one. Rewatched them all. Took 6 weeks. Did 26 movies. Yeah, it was crazy. But when we got to the Daniel Craig ones, you get to Casino Royale, and you're like, these are like, we're into like modern movies now. Like they're, everything levels up. The fights and the chases and then you get to, Skyfall's one of the best ones of the whole lot. So good pick. Yeah. What about a TV show? What if you're going to binge a show? And you got to watch episode after episode to kill a day.
Rewatch it. Like I've already seen it, but I have to rewatch. Okay.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, I'm like rewatch. It's like I'm kind of. Once I rewatch it, I can't. I don't rewatch seasons. I'm like I'm done.
Well, what's a good one? Like what's one of your hits?
I would say one. Yeah. Okay. Like I would say one right now. I would say the one that I am watching right now is Night Agent on Netflix. That's pretty good.
Okay.
I watching the first season was pretty good. The second season seems to be going well.
Night Agent.
Yeah, Night Agent. And then I watched Severance season 1 on Apple TV. Yeah. Season 2 is out. I'm going to start that.
It's been awesome.
Is it? Oh, okay.
Oh, it's so fucking crazy.
The cliffhanger on the first season was ridiculous.
Oh, so I'm ready for that. Yeah, we're all caught up now, and we're just like, what the hell is going on? Yeah, you'll hang on.
So Severance is one, but one that I would have to say one that I've already seen would have to be just like Blacklist. I've seen Blacklist.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I'm watching Blacklist during cardio right now. That's my morning routine because there's so many.
Yeah.
There's 10 seasons.
So many, right?
You just push play and just ride the bike until the 30 minutes is up and then resume tomorrow.
That's a fun show.
Blacklist
I think we watched 6 or 7 seasons of that. We're not caught up though, but yeah, we went hard on it for a while.
That's a great show. Yes.
Yeah.
I like the 10 seasons. That gives me hope that, I'm not going to just run out. I can keep going.
Right.
Yeah.
What about
the actor's good, so
yeah. What about the type of cardio? You got to do 45 minutes of cardio. What are you doing?
I'll be honest, I'm a treadmill guy. It's like my legs on the bike, my quads get so blown up. It's just like a quad workout for me. And the same for stairs. It's like my quads are so sensitive to just like loading that they just get so fatigued so easily. So like treadmill is just what it is. I love it. Yeah. I'll walk on that thing all day. Incline, high incline, low incline. I mix up the speeds, keep it interesting, but can't beat the treadmill.
We got a comment here I wanted to throw in. So this is from a new friend of the show, Flex Coach Dean McKillop out of Australia.
That's my guy. He's a good dude.
He says, no questions, but Carlos, stay off the Instagram food pages, mate. I see you liking restaurants even here in Spain.
That's funny.
Hey, bro, the Explorer, the algorithm got me.
He
you
did
like
add
food, huh?
He did add, though, he said, seriously, just a message of appreciation for his entire attitude towards bodybuilding and social media. Keep it genuine. So that is kind of cool.
Yeah.
I know how that goes, man. I remember doing cardio and seeing like a commercial come on for like a new burger that was out, and I just have to like avert my eyes for 30 seconds.
That's funny.
Some people it sounds like you might be one of those guys, Carlos. You like seeing that stuff when you're hungry.
Yeah. I'm a foodie, so I just kind of like I always just imagine that I'll have it, and like I never have it.
You never do. Yeah.
I'm gonna have it. I'm gonna go to Spain one day and travel to this obscure restaurant,
right?
And actually have the food. Probably not.
I used to do that during prep. I'd watch diners, drive-ins, and dives, and I had a sheet, and I would write down the places, so I would know where they were. I never went to any of them, but I wrote them all down. I was sure I was going to, so I was like, I better make sure. I'm going to Minneapolis, All right, got it.
Right.
There's been some times where I was able to visit a few, but just by chance, like I was in the city and I was like, this place looks pretty popular on like Yelp or something. And it just so happened to be on Diners, Drivers, and Dives. And I was like, oh, well, I found myself here. So, it's just by happenstance. I've been there before to a few of them, but I've done the same. Yeah, that's a good show. Love Triple D.
Great show.
We often talk about people that are just getting into bodybuilding. Maybe they're doing their first or second show, or you know what I mean, that sort of thing, and they don't have the balance. And I know balance is something that we don't want to a certain degree, right? You got to go all in, but you have a career, you've got a job, you've got responsibilities, and we kind of talk about these people that are one show in and they're talking about turning pro already, and they're putting all their eggs in one basket, and they're not preparing or keeping their life kind of on track the way they should. Do you know what I mean? Here you are at this level. You've got all the stuff going on that you need to have going on. What advice do you give these people that are sort of counting on things a little too soon before they know how good they are? Does that make sense, Dusty? I got to run it through Dusty.
Yeah.
Okay.
The advice is look at Carlos's legs, and that'll put you in check. You'll go get a job tomorrow.
Do you have those legs? Go get a job.
Yeah, but it honestly, it's. I think you should just. I always tell myself, and I think someone told me this, but they always told me like life comes first. Like life comes first. Like the stage and all that stuff it'll be there. Especially if you're like when I was 22. And then, I did my national show. I think it was when I came in fifth at the middleweights 2017. I was 24, 25, somewhere around there. And then I stopped for 4 years because I went to go get my master's degree, and life came first.
Right.
But, I still bodybuild. Like I still made sure to progress with my food and my training and to put on size and to bring up body parts. So bodybuilding didn't leave my life. I just didn't compete, So you can still build your life in these things outside of bodybuilding. If you're someone who can balance the competing and also do those things, then great. But I'm very much so an all-in guy. Like if I'm going to focus on building my career and going to school, then that's what has to take precedence. And bodybuilding will still be there, but like the major part of competing where you're so brain dead and you're fatigued and, I can't write papers and do things that takes a lot of cognitive function. Like I know myself. So you have to know yourself, you have to know what you can handle in the amount of workload that you can handle, and be honest. Like, can you handle it? And if so, then go ahead to take on competing and going to school at the same time or working your job at the same time. But if you can't, competing can wait. You can still bodybuild, you can still eat your meals, you can still train, but you can also focus on, hey, if you're going to school, go to school. If you're building your career and you want to level up to a new position, focus on that, because that stage things and building the name for yourself, that'll come. But you want to make sure you're secure in other areas, because you'll stress about life, you'll stress about bills, you'll stress about the finances, stress about something going on with your girl. Those things have to be taken care of first, because then once that's all taken care of, you can give all you can to bodybuilding. Because if you half-ass that bodybuilding stuff, it's never going to happen. That sponsorship you thinking you want, or like that pro card or that show win, that Olympia qualification, it's not going to happen if you half-ass it. So make sure you're settled over here so you can give your all over there. So that's my advice. That's what I made sure. I made sure these things were good first, so that when it came to bodybuilding and competing, I could peacefully put my all into it without having to worry.
Right.
Life is life, and you'll have stressors, but for the most part, you want to make sure you're as secure as can be. But hey, if you're a generational talent, go for it. Fuck it. Sorry, excuse my language. but
if you feel heat.
Yeah, if you're like
If you're Philly, don't worry about it.
Yeah, but if you're like us mere mortals over here, you know, you'll have to put
It's
the
funny that you
priorities
call
first.
yourself immortal, but okay.
Yeah, but that's my advice. I was a little long-winded, but honestly, that's it right there, and that's what I did, and to me, and it works for me, you know. And I'm luckily enough to, you know, have a job where I'm working from home. Or if you want to build your coaching business up, focus on building your coaching business up where that can sustain you to the point where you don't have to worry about finding clients, and you have that situated, and now you can focus on competing and bodybuilding. Like you want to set yourself up where, you know, you're in a comfortable position. That's what I have to say. I'm comfortable with where I'm at, and now I can be at the point where, hey, I can take this call at 1:30 right now, Scott. Like before, a couple years ago, I had to be like, huh, bro, I can't. Can you do 6 p.m. at night, because that's the only time I have. You know, so. Right. But I worked myself to get to a position where I'm comfortable now, where I can do these things. So that's my advice. A little long-winded, like I said, but it worked for me, and I hope that, you know, people can take, you know, some little bit of gems away from that, and I can help them in their.
I love that, and it's genuine and unique. You hear a lot. We ask people that question a lot. That's advice that came directly from your experience. I couldn't ask for more. It's great, man.
Yep, I agree. And I think more people need to do that, because essentially what you're saying is build the foundation before you put the roof on the house. Like
100%.
You know, I mean, your foundation is there, and if bodybuilding ever needs to stop, you're fine. You know, I think that's the big thing that I see missed is chasing something, and oftentimes they're chasing a carrot that's not theirs in the first place. But also just, you know, the balance. Because like you said, I mean, I've seen people who are trying to figure out how they're going to have the money to buy the food during prep. And I'm like, you know, and I've been there in the very beginning when I was really tight, but you just want to be smart about it and make sure you have someone to go. So I love that advice. And I also thought it was really impressive. I mean, when we first met, I remember asking like, oh, what do you do? And you told me, I was like, oh, okay. Not what I expected you to say. You're definitely one of a kind in the industry with your career outside of bodybuilding, you know, which I think is also interesting. It gives another perspective that you can have. I mean, you literally live on both ends of the spectrum. It's crazy.
Yeah. And I think it's nice.
When do you arrive in Columbus?
Tuesdays. I think that's the 25th.
Cool.
Okay. Well, we would love to see you. I think we're all showing up. We're all going to be in that hotel by Thursday, aren't we?
Yep.
Yeah. I would love to see you around, man. Obviously, we'll see you at the show, but I mean, you should come by the booth at the expo. We're going to have the podcast set up. We might even be able to slide you in. That'd be fantastic.
We'd love to if we can.
We'd absolutely love to slide you in. I know it's a busy weekend for everybody, but I know a lot of people come by, especially after the show. They come by the next day and it's a little more chilled. So it'd be fantastic to run into you, dude.
Right.
And I can't wait to see you on stage.
Yeah.
Oh, did I freeze up?
Well, thank you. Yep. Yeah, thank you guys. Yeah.
We're good. We're good.
Okay.
We're good.
Okay, cool. Yeah. No,
everybody froze up for a second, by, guys.
Yeah.
But we're all good. Yeah, we're wishing you the best. 3 Arnold Classic champs and 3 Olympia champs on stage. It's quite an amazing experience, I'm sure, only being your second pro show, right? You get to compete against these guys and show everybody what you got, and I know you got a lot to bring. So we're very excited. You're one of like the sort of wild cards that has been thrown into this Arnold lineup that people are like, what the hell? Have you seen these pictures? Like people are saying that to me at the gym. You see these pictures? And it's like, I know. You know, so we're looking forward to it. And of course, no Arnold would be complete without running into your dad. So I'm sure he will be around, and I look forward to seeing Senior.
Likewise.
Yes, sir. Yeah, we're gonna be right there. We're gonna be rocking and rolling. So, we'll try to make some time. If not before the show, then definitely that Sunday we'll come back.
Perfect.
For sure.
Yeah. Hey, all else fails, just send your dad by.
Yeah.
He'll be there. You'll see him. You will see him. Without a shadow of a doubt, you will see him.
Okay. Awesome. Thanks, Carlos. All the best. Thanks, crank it up. 2 weeks to go.
Let's go.
Looking forward to it, buddy. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Carlos Thomas Jr.,
Thanks, brother.
See you, buddy.
Peace, man. Wow, generous of him. Got like an hour and 20 out of him. That was really nice. So,
that was awesome.
That was cool.
A guy with real responsibilities and all that stuff.
I'm always blown away when someone like him says, "Us mere mortals." I'm like, my head did what my dogs do. I'm like, wait,
you know what? You know what else?
You're immortal. That's funny.
So here's the thing. So that's another championship quality is the people who have, let's say, more gift than most of the other people, right?
Yeah.
He clearly has more gift than more genetic gift than a lot of us. But they don't lean on that.
Not
They
at all.
ignore it. They in fact put it out of their mind.
Yeah,
and they focus on they focus on the fact they don't have other things, and they put themselves back down into the mere mortal category.
Yeah, he doesn't even know.
As a driver. But that's what drives them. That's part of what drives them is they don't allow themselves to think, oh, I got better muscle bellies than all these guys. They don't allow themselves to think like that because it would make them less vicious or, less hungry in the gym, or I don't know. I'm just thinking like that's a quality that I've noticed. They don't notice, they don't acknowledge it.
Yeah. I think it's great though, because that although it's his second pro show, everyone doing the show knows how dangerous he is. Like, there's just no two ways about it. All the way to the top, like everyone knows he is the legit of the legit. And I think, I really am grateful that he came on now, because that explanation of slowing his life down, becoming more present, and how that's affected the prep is amazing, because it's really the stuff that sets you apart. And he's going to just cruise into the show, be the best he's ever been.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what he's going to shock everyone, including me, even though I know it's coming. You know what I mean? Right. It's like, it's going to be great, and it's still going to be like when he comes out, because for a guy like him, if he's 2% better than last time, that's frightening.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a great lineup.
Yeah.
And I have my whole trip nailed down, guys. I'm going to be actually arriving in Ohio on Monday.
Okay.
Moving to Ohio.
But I'm going to be I'll be in Dayton for one night because we're filming at a gym there. And then I'll be going to Worthington for a couple nights. We're going to film at Mike Davies' gym.
Nice.
And then I'll be meeting you guys at the main hotel on Thursday. And we can get some, we can go to the gym together or do something, get some footage for It's Just Bodybuilding. And,
for sure.
Mutant, and have some fun on our own. We're not booked up on Thursday, so we'll have some fun.
All right. I know Drea wants to get to the gym too. She's got a place. I won't mention it on the show for her sake, but we can talk about that after, There's some stuff going on. So I want to get out there, get some training in with you guys, and I can't wait. I can't wait to freaking meet everybody. This is going to be a good Arnold. There's no question about it.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited. Jim's very excited.
Is he?
So it's always a good thing when Jim's having fun with something. It's going to be fun for everybody. So I'm looking forward to it. Yeah. Okay, guys. Well, I appreciate it. Any other notes? We got to do any housekeeping before we go?
I will say this, for anybody who's watching, leave us listener questions. If you're still watching now, Last 5 Minute Crew, leave us listener questions for the next show, because we're going to need them in the future. We've been having a lot of guests, and when we have guests, people generally like, all right, I don't think of asking a question, so
right.
All that stuff, we could use those.
Okay. Dusty?
The only thing I wanted to bring up that Scott and I mentioned, I just texted you, Scott, wanted to see, we had a listener of the show whose son passed away recently, and it's one of those scenarios where when Scott texts me, the first thing I thought, and first off, anybody who has kids understands, like, that's not how it's supposed to work. you know. And I just thought it would be important to kind of, you know, send some positive vibes to them. Don't want to say names or anything like that, but just send some positive vibes, you know, let them know that, you know, things will like this never make sense, you know, but we're all just, you know, you're in our thoughts, and we hope that all passes as cleanly as possible. And my 2 cents, as someone who's kind of been through some of these stages over my life, is how you live the rest of your life is kind of how you honor someone that's passed. So I hope that they rock it. I hope that they, you know, they'll always remember, and it'll never be the same, but it doesn't mean that you don't just keep pushing forward and live your best life, because that, to me, is the best way you can honor anyone that's passed on.
Right on.
Yeah. Excellent. Yeah. Nothing to add to that. Obviously, very intelligent advice, Dusty. You know,
every now and then.
That's what we keep them around for. Once in a while,
whether we expect it to
drop a gem. Yeah, they're shocked, shaking their head.
What happened there? And the bell. That and the bell. Those are his things.
The occasion, but the bell is consistent. I got that.
I like that. That was great. How you live your life after that is how you honor the people that are gone. So that's a great message to leave on. Okay. Thanks, everybody. Remember to like, share, subscribe, comment, and
ring the bell.
Yes. Remember, Arnold's coming up, so if you're going to be there, come by the expo. And I've had so many people say this to me.
What's that?
I came by at the O, but your lineup was so long.
Oh, no.
Don't wait in the lineup.
No.
Just come and see us. We're separate.
Yeah.
We're over on the corner. You don't have to don't worry about any lineup. If you see a lineup at the booth, that's for like merch and the game. There's all this other stuff going on.
Yeah.
Just say, I'm with the band. Come through the back door. Show your boobs. You'll get right up.
Definitely show your boobs.
Yeah.
You too, fellas.
You got to bring somebody. You got to bring someone with boobs to show, or the security.
Where are we going here? Where are we going here now?
Sorry,
this turned into something else.
And then we sign your breast or your butt or whatever. And that's another.
That was actually
another project I'm working on.
Just cut this whole part out. It's all right. Don't worry about it.
No, but just don't worry about a big line at the booth. Come around. You'll see that if there's a giant line, we're still just standing, sort of chatting casually to the odd person. So that's where you come around. You come around that.
Just walk right up. Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Thanks, everybody. Remember to go to IamMutant.com, get your all in, get your ISO surge, and everyone should get on the gear. Absolutely. Dusty, did you get your new Arnold hoodie?
I did. Yes.
Yes. I just washed mine, so now it's good to go. You
Yeah,
gotta wash it, get all that lint out of the inside.
Yeah.
The new hoodie wash.
Yeah, when they did the Olympia ones, they came and I was like, oh, we're just gonna do this now because I had to do some pictures with it. My arms were just covered. I'm like, the rest of the workout, I'm like, great, here we go.
Yeah, the new hoodie fuzz, got to go.
Especially with the shaved head that's like Velcro to that.
Yeah,
stuff.
no,
man, you got some stubble. Oh, that's a nice one. Yeah,
little stubble with it, especially if you got any sweat, you're done. It's over.
Your head looks like a lint roller when you're done. Yeah. Okay. Thanks, guys. Remember, it's just bodybuilding.